this is why I tell people to never give up, because my offer for publication for the 3-book deal came on the very last day that my book was on submission.
Welcome to Narratives and Nightcaps, books, beverages, and author conversations. I'm Bree, always ready to dive into new fantasy worlds and take a step back in time.
I'm Megan, part critic, always team physical copy, and forever chasing good thrillers and a great plot twist.
I'm Emily, your resident mood reader who thrives on chaos questions and lively book chats.
And I'm Jordan, equal parts heart, humor, and high-functioning caffeine addict. I come with coffee in hand, wine on standby, and a Gilmore Girls quote for every occasion.
Cheers!
Cheers!
Welcome back to Narratives and Nightcaps. She has us thinking about a few of our favorites from the 2000s, like Bend It Like Beckham and She's the Man. Today, author Tara Sexton joins us to explore her upcoming steamy sports romance, The Greatest Game. I say upcoming, but also like when this episode comes out, it will have been released in the UK.
Yes, releases in the UK tomorrow. Well, actually, my gosh, in a matter, I guess, technically of hours, because they're 6 ahead of us. So
happy UK release to you.
Thank you. So exciting.
That is wonderful. Is the UK cover, real quick before we get into the nightcap, is the UK cover the same? I don't think I've seen it.
Yes,
like,
they do.
different.
So my UK book cover and my US book cover are exactly the same.
Okay, first, so we like to kick off each episode with what's in our glass. Before we dive in, tell us, Tara, because I'm dying to know, what's your nightcap pairing?
Oh gosh, this is probably going to be so boring for you guys. But I have a glass of Chardonnay, which I picked because this is my main character, Marcy's, like, kind of fancy drink when she's celebrating something. It's either going to be white wine or champagne. So I was feeling more like white wine, so that's what I got.
There you go. There you go. You are speaking to my granny's heart, because she just turned 98 this week. I'm not kidding you. And Chardonnay is her drink of choice. We are 100% convinced that it is her secret sauce to life.
Yes. Okay, perfect. Because I am dying to live to 3 digits at least. So I have to make it to 100. And now that I know, tell your granny that I'll give her a run for her money.
See, but you got to go with like the barefoot, the Sutter home, like just the.
Okay, well, this is Yellowtail, so.
It's,
yeah.
So you're in the club. That's hysterical. Oh, yep. Too funny.
No, I also, here's the thing. If we're talking like a summer sports romance too, a white wine is just like always going to, a crisp white wine is just always going to be great.
Well,
you can't go wrong.
Does tend to have like, her and her best friend Alex have their like beef and broccoli night every Friday night. And so they always have some kind of beer. Plus her best friend Alex like works for a local brewery. And so they get a lot of IPAs. But I really just was not in a beer mood tonight. So I was like, I'm going to have the special drink.
Perfect.
I love
Cheers.
That. Cheers.
Okay. Before we get into the greatest game some more, we will have just some random questions we want to ask you. First, because I do feel like we ask everybody this, but I just love to know, because no one has said the same thing. What was the last book you read that you couldn't put down?
Okay. Definitely has to be Summer Romance by Annabelle Monaghan. I just discovered her, and I feel really bad saying that because she's fantastic. And that book, I think I read it in like 12 hours. Couldn't put it down.
So good. Go ahead, Brie.
I'm like literally looking at my shelf because she's like auto buy for me. I think she's incredible, and I'm
for
like,
me
I've read
too,
that one.
For sure.
Yes.
I've only read Nora Goes Off Script, but I am so excited to read more of her this summer. I have them on.
So good.
I have her books on my Kindle, so I'm summer.
And she's
romance
coming out
is
with a new one. Is it June?
Dolly all the time. Yes. End of May. I think it's actually end of May.
Okay, I knew it was like not too long after mine. I couldn't remember the exact date though.
You both have May releases. How nice is that?
I know.
There you
I
go.
almost shared a date with Carly Fortune because originally my publishing date for the US was supposed to be this week as well on May 5th. And I was like, I thought that was just a sign from the gods. I was like, me and Carly are going to be best friends now because we have the same release date.
I
But then it got
love
changed.
that.
So, alas.
That's okay. Still same week. I mean, when
Yes,
you
For
think
the
for
about
the
it.
UK.
UK.
For
Yeah.
the UK. Okay.
What's your question?
Coffee or tea, Tara?
Oh,
And how
coffee.
do you take it?
100% coffee. I usually take
My
it with
girl.
just a little bit of unflavored cream. I really can't do super sweet drinks anymore. I haven't been able to for a while now, which is so anti the South. I can't drink sweet tea anymore. It's just too sweet for me. So I'm probably going to get deported or something for that alone. But yes, coffee with just a little bit of unsweetened cream, or I really have been into cold brew lately with a little bit of cream. So
Yes, I'm so excited for the warmer months with cold brew. I
Mhm.
love a good
It
cold brew.
hits.
It so hits. I love it.
As a caffeine addict, I need it in my veins.
Reset,
Yes.
I'll take it in all forms.
Yeah, really, truly.
Very
No, just
Lorelai Gilmore of
kidding.
you.
Yeah, that's so true. What such a nice thing to say. Okay. Obviously we're going to be talking about sports, soccer, football in particular. If you were a professional athlete, which sport would you play? Would it be soccer?
Ooh, I do love soccer quite a bit, but I have to go off a little bit and say I think if I could do professional sports, I would do basketball. I love
Ooh.
it. I played it for many, many years growing up. Not as many as softball, but I do love basketball. It has my heart. So, but then again, soccer is fantastic. I just don't think I would be as good as it. So,
My handball foot-eye coordination is not there. So
gotcha.
that's not me. Jordan, what would you play if you were a professional athlete?
If I could, honestly, I probably would choose soccer or volleyball. To be
Oh, nice.
honest, those are like the two that I'm like, because I'm 5'1", so like I was never tall enough for basketball, and it just was not on my radar. Totally not coordinated enough for like softball. I relate to Brie on the hand-eye coordination situation, so I think soccer, volleyball, a little bit lower stakes in my brain. I'm like, yeah, I can manage that, but they're still such great sports. So
Yes,
anyway.
choices.
Okay, Tara, what books, films, or other forms of art are you most inspired or influenced by?
This is a really tough question for me because I am a very creative person. If I'm not writing or reading, I like to dabble in other forms of art. And so I get inspired by pretty much anything, whether it be other writers and books or tapestry making. Catherine Manchico, I believe is her name, does some of the most fantastic, gorgeous stuff I've ever seen in my life. But I also love paintings. I can find inspiration probably from anything, to be honest. My imagination tends to run wild.
Well, and it shows in your aesthetics. Listener, if you're not seeing this on video, you're doing yourself a disservice, because just her whole background and everything, I'm here for it. I love it.
Thank you.
Okay, as we get closer to the greatest game, one of the top things on my mind has been She's the Man because I'm obsessed with that movie. It's
Yes.
iconic. I think it's wonderful.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Do you have a favorite quote?
There are so many from that movie that it is hard to pick, but I was racking my brain and I think it's probably, and hopefully I'm sure you remember the scene, but it's where Viola is incognito as Sebastian, and she's in the dorm room and she says, so you play the beautiful game, brother? And then I don't know what it was, but I was like, brother? And I love that quote. I actually say those last three so many times, and I don't know that anyone has ever gotten it before, but yeah.
Oh no, they're missing out.
I know.
I
Maybe I've watched
immediately
it too
know
many
what you're
times.
talking about.
I do
This
love
is
the one where
totally
she's like,
making
I
me.
love Gouda, or whatever the
Yes,
exact words are, too. That one was fantastic.
Yes.
my favorite Gouda.
I am totally due for a rewatch now that we're talking about this. The one that comes to my mind is the, well, speaking as a third party objective with absolutely positively no personal interest in the matter.
Yes.
Jordan, that quote sounds like you. Like you would just say that in everyday life.
I do actually use it in everyday life, 100%. Someone asks for my opinion, or someone's gossiping, or we're talking about something at work. Well, speaking from a third party objective with no personal interest in the matter, I do have to say,
And it just rolls off the tongue so well.
I love it.
That
So good.
quote is you 100%. Okay, on that note of soccer romance, we need to talk about your book. The Greatest Game releases this May. As we've already said, it's UK Eve release, but like also releasing as we're talking. So all of that. But for everyone listening, what can readers expect in this story?
So, for readers, you can expect a true rivals to lovers romance. I know sometimes it gets marketed as enemies to lovers, and sort of, but I think it's more true to rivals to lovers because we have two head soccer coaches for arch rival teams in North Carolina who teach high school or teach who coach high school girls soccer, and so they are pitted against each other. We have our female main character, Marcy, who this is her first year. She's very green. She already has a lot on her shoulders that she has to carry because she's in a bit of a misogynistic type of workplace environment. They've already told her that she has to produce a winning season with the state championship to keep her job because they're looking for reasons to get rid of her, right? And so she has all of this pressure and she loves the game so much and she just really wants to make an impact like the sport has done for her in her life. And so all of that gets compounded when she finds out that Remington Lockley, who is or was her biggest crush growing up in the Premier League soccer, has for some reason, taken a job as the head coach of their school's arch rival team. And so they have a run in at the summer training camp, and the sparks fly, but kind of good and bad. There's definitely that like sexual tension between them. And so she decides it's probably just better that she swears off anything between them because it can't lead anywhere good. But as it is a small town, when they get done with training camp, they continue to run into each other, forced proximity all the way, forbidden romance to the upteenth degree, and they just can't stay away from each other.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. It's so, so good. And they can't stay away from soccer either. So
No.
talk to us about that because I'm curious. Why soccer for this romance, for this sports romance? Like, did you play soccer? Do you play soccer? What was the inspiration for that?
Sure. So it's a couple of different things, actually. I did play soccer growing up for 1 year. It wasn't a huge sport where I grew up, so it was like a YMCA type league, and they didn't even have a girls' league. I played in the boys' league, which was so much fun, might I add. But I didn't get to continue it, and I always was interested. But when I had kids of my own, they started playing soccer and they have continued to play soccer competitively in like club teams and that sort of thing. And so I have spent an inordinate amount of time on the sidelines of a soccer pitch, early mornings, late nights, in the snow. I mean, anything that you can think of watching these games. And I have really developed not only a love for just the spirit of it, but a complete respect for the athletes that do it because it is so intense. And so
Yeah.
that's part of the reason why. But also, Marcy was a bit of a side character in a previous book that I wrote, another sports romance. And so from the time I wrote her in that book, I knew I was like, she has to have her own love story because she jumped off the page and tried to take that book over. And I was like, you're going to have to wait your turn kind of situation. And so she was super athletic. And I knew at that time that she played soccer, but I decided, you know what? I need to delve into this and fully develop it. And that's kind of how it came to be. And soccer, there's so many opportunities for that, like brimming sexual tension on the field. It's so physical. I mean, you're sweaty, you're bumping shoulders, you're gazing longingly across the pitch. I mean, it is all there for a romance. It's so, and it just, I mean, it's easy to write when you have that combination of elements.
I love that.
Oh my gosh, when she tackles Remington, I was like, yes, girl, get it.
Yes. And she's like, I don't know if I want him under my cleats or I can't. Oh my gosh, I can't even quote my own book. I can't remember what it was, but anyway, she decides she wants him under her cleats and under her sheets as well.
Oh yes, I do remember that line. I loved it.
Okay, I'm always curious, like love to get into the writing of, wait, hold on. Let me rewind, because as you were saying that, so you wrote another book, but this is your debut, right?
Yes.
Okay. How many other books have you written like before reaching this moment to have The Greatest Game published?
So The Greatest Game was actually my 6th book that I've written.
Wow.
So yeah, 6th. And since then, since signing with my agent and getting the publishing deal, I've written 3 or 4 more. So I've really got kind of a roster of 10. Of course, some of those will never see the light of day, and they shouldn't. But my publishing deal is actually for 3 books. So Marcy's Story is just the first one.
So exciting. Okay. And I want to put a pin in that for now, but I want to come back to that because I want to hear your entire journey. I think that it is like, it's just it's the realistic side of being an author that when we have the opportunity to highlight that on this show, I think it's really inspiring for people. So, okay, I want to come back to that, but Jordan, I'll let you go.
Well, so I was just curious then, talking about The Greatest Game, without spoiling anything, is there a scene you're most excited about for readers to get to? Like, yes, this is a point in the story where it's just, that's sort of the turning point, you know?
There is a particular scene, perhaps a charity event, and a particular coat check room scene that I think is where it was really a turning point for the main relationship. And it was also just really sexy, and writing that was a lot of fun. So, but I think that was the moment where it's like there's no going back from this kind of situation. So I'm excited for that.
That is a good one. Well, on the flip side of that, then I'm so curious, which scene or aspect of the story was like the most challenging, and how did you overcome it?
There were 1 or 2 that were really challenging, and they weren't actually in the romance sphere of it. Those felt really easy and natural. Well, maybe not necessarily natural, because that makes it seem like the rest of it didn't come naturally, but emotionally speaking, there is a scene between Marcy when she goes to New York and she has kind of a reckoning with a boy/man from her past at a coffee shop. And that one was one that got added in later drafts after revising with my agent and her assistant. And so that got added in. It wasn't in the original one, but I'm so glad that it got put in there because the depth I think that it gave to Marcy and her backstory was really needed, and it was really impactful. But writing that I remember reading it after I wrote it, and I cried during it because I was just thinking about how hard it was for both characters in that scene, like as people coming to terms with what they had to come to terms with. And so that was really difficult in the best possible way to write. And I thought after everything got polished and at the end of it, I was like, I feel like this is going to resonate with a lot of people, and at least I hope it does. So that one was really hard to write.
Yeah. No, you did. You wrote such real characters, and Bree and I even talked about that as well, just the depth of them. It was I I really admired and appreciated how that scene
Thank you so
came
much.
out and how that came
That's
out.
so good to hear. That's like one of the best
Yeah.
compliments you can get.
Well, and that's a good segue into sort of the next question. Underneath the sports romance of it all, right? Your story includes some of these harder topics from sexism, regret, grief, mental health, eating disorders. All in all, it's very thoughtful, real, relatable. Are you open to sharing a little bit more just about like the motivation behind including some of those elements in the story? Because
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
definitely curious about that.
Absolutely. I am 100% open to talking about any of that. So if you have any specific questions, fire away, or I can just.
Yeah, whatever you're comfortable sharing. I don't know if Bree wants to chime in about anything specifically, but
I would say, well, maybe let's kind of break it down into some of them. I think let's start with the eating disorders in particular, and because I say that more so because as someone who was a female athlete of some sort, this was very like that was very, very relatable for me. What most people do not know is that like what I did in college before I did anything, the first thing I was asked to do was step on a scale. So to have this really accurate kind of depiction about the feelings and how that can affect an athlete was just super relatable for me. But what was some of the motivation for you behind that?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, like I said, I was an athlete for many, many, many years, and I can remember being in locker rooms and undressing and just comparing myself to all the girls around me. You never felt the same as everyone else. And in my mind, I was so much a perfectionist that every flaw was just like, on display in those situations. And so, and I remember, gosh, this for me, I think I'm much older than you guys, but back in the 2000s, that was, big diet culture. You had people who were literally
yes.
size like double zeros or less than, and that was what was being broadcasted to you heavily as being like the healthiest possible way you could live. There was no body positivity then, like zero.
Mm-mm.
And so you were always striving to be something that you probably weren't supposed to be, and it just wasn't natural for you. And for me, definitely not. And so even though I was super athletic and I was constantly working out, I never felt like I had, every single extra little bit of skin was scrutinized. And so that was part of the motivation I wanted to put it in there, because even though I do think that we've moved a ways now, like as far as body positivity goes, I have two daughters, one of whom is a teenager, and she is super active in sports. Like, I mean, every day, multiple practices. The girl exercises more than anyone I know for her sports. And so I still see it, like, even to a degree, with girls struggling with it. And I'll see girls on the field and I'm like, I can just tell you can tell ones who are struggling with that. And it's so scary. And I want there to be awareness that even when you are an athlete and you're working out all the time, that's still a struggle that females have. It's not something that just goes away because you're very active and you're healthy. And sometimes even more so for those particular girls, it's worse. And on a college level, oh gosh, I couldn't even imagine, because that's basically your job, and you sign contracts to fulfill a certain
Yeah.
expectation. I could go on for
Yeah,
days about this. So
no, I think that was so well said and is still super important today because to your point, I think we've come a ways, but I'm worried like some of it is returning to, and I think
yes,
it's particularly like really hard for college women and female athletes to, like you said, because the intensity and the level that you are playing at and the attention that is given to you, or at those is it's really challenging to navigate. The one thing at least an interpretation that I saw with Marcy, even if it's maybe that's not the main part of her story with the eating disorder, but I like that it in a subtle way also represented like the years that it can take to overcome that and then be
Yes.
comfortable with your body.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because it's funny, totally unrelated. I was just having a conversation with another woman and we were both talking about how it took us both a d over a decade to be like, I'm happy with my body, you know, and to know that it fluctuates and to be more accepting of it, but it's still like it's really easy to be triggered too and have different feelings, have all those old feelings rush back in.
Yes, 100%. And with social media these days, it's so like I'm so grateful that when I was in my most, vulnerable times, that there wasn't 24/7 access to photos of me and stuff like that for people to anonymously critique. I can't imagine being under that microscope um, as a teenager today.
I can't, and like hats off to you as a mom too for navigating that because I can't even imagine. Well, so all of that said, one of the things obviously we love the spice, we love the steaminess of the story, but I really wanted to talk about that because people don't often discuss like the real art that is balancing the romance and the spice, like I was saying, with that real raw depth and those other topics, especially what we see with Marcy. Can you take us a bit inside your process with all of that? Did you plot a lot of this out, or did the story naturally unravel, like you were saying, because Marcy was just jumping off the page in your other draft?
So I would say the larger plot points just were kind of there for me, but I am definitely a plotter. It is my mode of operation for writing. I cannot pants anything. I have to have a very detailed, what I have is like a plot flowchart, is what I call it. So it's chapter
Okay.
by chapter, but it is like scene by scene. So I mean, I'm really getting pretty detailed, and I have to do that before I write because I need to have at least something to follow along with. Otherwise, I kind of just feel like I'm floating out there and, lingering in the atmosphere. So I need that direction. That's just my personality type. But so and I think I wanted it to be complex. I love romances that are vibes and just make you feel good because you need that in your life. And
Yeah.
there, sometimes that's all I want to read. But what I really was aiming for with The Greatest Game was something that had multiple plot lines that dealt with heavier hitting topics along with that fun banter filled romance. So I wanted it to be something that was just a little bit more than just, kind of surface level a romance story, essentially. So yeah, I definitely, and I think plotting, for me anyways, if I didn't plot, I would not have been able to achieve that. So
No, no, that definitely makes sense. And having read the book, like I thought that it had a wonderful sort of flow and path to it from
thank you.
scene to scene. And so that work absolutely shows. Going off of that, when readers turn the final page, how do you hope that they feel after reading this book? Like, I'm just picturing you plotting and doing all of this, thinking, oh, like this is the end result. Like at the ultimately, this is how they should feel towards
Yeah.
the end.
So I kind of hope that in a way readers are a little wrecked when they get to the end of it because of all of the emotional points that I tried to hit in it. Because if you aren't a little bit, I feel like maybe I didn't do it quite as well as I had hoped. So I want you to feel like you went through the ringer a little bit with all of those subplots, but at the same time, I want you to have like a feeling kind of elation that the couple, I mean, I'm not spoiling anything, it's romance, so it has to have a happy ending. So that they end up together. So I want you to feel like you've really earned that happy ending by reading all the way to the end.
There you go.
I'll say mission accomplished for this reader.
Yes. No,
Thank you.
same here. I mean, I will say I was left wanting a little more as far as like, oh, like where, like, wait, okay, like, yes, happy ending. And then, but, oh, now but I want to spend more time with Marcy and Remy. What's happening?
Oh, I love that though. I mean, I take that like as the highest compliment. So,
Oh, I mean, I was like, I'll be back. I'll reread.
oh my
I'll be back.
God, thank you so much. That is fantastic.
That was what that went through my, because so I had like a similar reaction, Jordan, and I was like, I'll be back. This isn't the last time Marcy and Remington will see me. I'll be back.
Oh,
Well, and now that we know you've got more books, I'm like, sign me up.
yes, yay. And
Okay,
you know, you
so I wanna
might
go back.
recognize a few faces in the next one. So,
I know. I kind of wanted to ask, but I wasn't sure if I should. Okay, Bree, move on.
I do want to come back to that too. We were touching a little bit on your publication path. And so I wanted to go back to a couple of questions that kind of all connect for me. Are like, when would you say you officially started writing The Greatest Game? And then what has your path to publication looked like? Did you do the normal querying for an agent? I know you said you have a 3-book deal. What has this looked like? What has that timeline been like for you?
so it's a journey, let me tell you. So
I believe it.
I've been writing seriously towards publication for literally a decade.
Oh my gosh,
I
wow.
wrote my first like full-length novel that I went to query back in 2015. And so that was a learning experience. It was not ready. That book was underwritten and had great bones. I would actually like to rewrite that book now, like with what I've learned. It would be considered probably a romantasy. But so that's kind of when I really started seriously pursuing it. Like I had a English degree and had been writing short stories and poetry and stuff before then. But that was when I decided I was like, I'm going to try my hand at this because I loved reading and I honestly thought that I could do it. And turns out that I could. So, yes, it's been about, like I said, 10, almost 11 years of trying to get traditionally published. And that has included querying 5 books before I got my first literary agent, which ended up being a not fantastic tale. We ended up parting ways within a year of me signing my contract with her while I was in the middle of submission with publishers for my last sports romance. It was, it was a really disheartening process, but at the time I was writing The Greatest Game when all of this was happening, and it was like my happy place. And I just knew that there was something there. I knew with Marcy and Remy that it was special, and I was like, this is the book. I think I really think this will be the one. And so when I parted ways, I kind of revised and edited The Greatest Game to the best of my ability, and then went out on querying again. And within, I guess it was 6 or 7 months, I had a lot of requests, and then I ended up getting 3 offers of representation from agents, and ended up signing with my now agent, Megan Carroll, who is located in London, and she's with Watson Little. She's fantastic. Hi, Megan. And so she signed me for The Greatest Game, and we went and did more edits. That book has seen about probably 10 versions of life
Wow.
before you guys got a chance to read it. So we went out on submission, and this is a really interesting part of the tale, in that this is why I tell people to never give up, because my offer for publication for the 3-book deal came on the very last day that my book was on submission. We had a deadline that we were going to pull it because we had a lot of interest, close calls, but nothing had gone through, and it was close to a year of it being out with editors. And we were like, this is the date, and then we're shelving it. And the very last day is when Megan messaged me and she goes, can I give you a call? And I said, yes. And ran home from work, hopped on a Zoom, and started crying because she was like, we have a 3-book offer. And so, very
Here,
last
you just
day.
chills.
Wow.
Yes. I
Literal
Wow.
chills.
That's
and
so
yeah, so
crazy.
that is my completely bonkers publication tale thus far.
What a way to bounce back too from
Oh man,
just a
yeah.
previous
And
experience that was not, that's wow. That's so crazy.
it was.
Well, we're glad that that happened for you, and we're so glad that you're here. So yes, kind of going into that, because you talked about kind of how long it took you writing The Greatest Game and whatnot, but we're curious, what does that like typical day of writing look like for you now then?
Sure. So actually, I do not have a typical writing day, as is the case for, I figure, a lot of working writers and especially working mom writers, because
Yep.
I have a full-time job. I actually am a grant writer in my day job, so there's some writing on that end, just completely different.
Yes.
So I have a 8 to 5, and then I have 2 kids who play 2 different sports, and I chauffeur them around. My husband has a super intense job, so and he also does a lot of volunteer stuff, and so we are constantly just like on the go. Um, Primarily, my writing time is in the evenings when things have kind of died down. We've had dinner, if whether that was in the car on the way back from a practice or whatever. And so sometimes there have been, well, many times that I have had a notebook or my phone and a wireless keyboard, and I've been in my car in a parking lot at some random gym or something,
Love
and
it.
I have been writing in the car on my lap. And so, honestly, there is no typical time. Weekends are like godsends when I don't have like tournaments and stuff, because that's when I can really buckle down. But it is one of those situations right now, this time in my life, where it's just you do it when you can.
But like your story and so many authors too is just, it's such a testament to how resilient you have to be
Ooh.
to want to do this.
Yes.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I just think it literally makes my heart so happy to like hear stories like yours.
Oh,
That I'm just like, yeah, she's doing it. And I can also just see like it's so clear to me how you wrote such a strong character too, because you seem so strong
oh,
yourself.
Yeah.
And
thank
so
you.
I'm like, yeah, girl, you've got this.
Yeah, there were definitely
Absolutely.
aspects of Marcy that I was like, that's a little bit me. And so there were a couple of times where there were some editors who were like, she's a little unlikable. And I'm like, well,
What are you
I'm not
trying to
going to take
say?
that personally.
Well,
But
okay, but here's my thing about all of that, that I don't want us to get, and by us, I mean the book community. Like, we have to have real, relatable people too. I was just
exactly.
talking to Claire Kahn about this too, and talking about how she got some feedback about characters, and she was like, yeah, people were like, he made some mistakes. And it was like, well, yeah, but otherwise he wouldn't be relatable.
Yeah, precisely.
Well,
You cannot write perfect characters. That's boring.
not only is it boring, but you also have to think about like all of us have aspects or elements of ourselves that are not likable, or that are not, or that are kind of hard to accept, or even sometimes maybe unlovable. Like, and this is just this reader's opinion alone. I don't necessarily need my MMC, my male main character, my FMC, my female main to be like these perfect
Oh, yeah.
individuals, right? Like, give me their flaws, because then they are a fully well-rounded sort of person. And that was something actually, even, when Bree and I had a chance to chat a little bit before sitting down with you, that we talked about in the book was like, oh yeah, no, like these are like, you can genuinely tell that these are real people. Like, they Go ahead.
I'll just even say, like the scene with Marcy when she puts Just Pretend on, and which that is on my gym playlist for very specific reasons and very specific workouts.
There you
Love
go.
it.
There you
So
go.
when that came on, I was like, oh, I am her, she is me. We
I love
are,
that so much.
We
Oh,
are one.
yeah,
yeah.
like we are the same. Yeah, I feel like we need relatable characters. The second that's part of the reason, there's so many reasons to read, but part of the reason we do it is to like see ourselves and
Yes.
put ourselves in those spaces with those characters to know that you're not alone out there, all of that. So I think it's very important. Well, I would love to know, I'm sure there are many things, but what are you looking forward to most with your book launch?
Oh gosh. There's so many things because I have been thinking about this moment for a decade. No big deal. So I have been like off and on planning in my mind my book launch party for so long. And so I'm so excited I'm really excited about the party and getting like all of my friends and family and anyone else who's going to end up coming just together to talk more about the book because obviously I have a lot to say about it. And so, and I just love chatting books, but I just feel like I think it's one of those moments that there's just no way it cannot live up to my expectations because it's something I've been working towards for so long. So I'm really excited about the book launch party itself, but I'm also excited. I'm having a book signing the next day at my local Barnes and Noble. And so I am super excited to like sit at that table with my blown up book jacket over here behind me and like meet strangers and tell them about my book and then, get hand cramps after I'm writing signatures. So,
Yes.
yeah,
I
those are
love it.
probably the things I'm looking forward to the most.
I was gonna say, has there been like a most memorable moment so far that you've reached?
Oh man. Oh gosh. Announcing my book deal on social media, especially like to people local in my community who, know me on other levels. That was really cool. It was so much more positive than I thought it would be because you just never know when you write like open door romance how people are going to take that. So I was nervous about it, but the genuine support and like since then, I mean, it's been months. I announced my book deal back in October. And so ever since then, I mean, it has just been this constant wave of support from people in my town. And that has blown my mind in the best possible way. So that has been really memorable. But I think hearing my girls tell people that, oh, yeah, my mom's publishing a book, there have been times like I've genuinely teared up and I'm like because they seemed like really proud and like it wasn't embarrassing like they were thought it was really cool and I'm like when you're a mom to at least one teenager and then a preteen nothing you do is cool so I was like yes I have finally like achieved something in my life.
I love that. That's a good one. That's a
That
good
is
one.
so cute. Are they gonna read your book though?
God, no. No, in fact, my daughter was like, "Can I read it?" And I'm like, "No, not for another 3 years. And then if you do, I don't want to know that you read it after that." So,
You What you should do, I've seen it on social media, is you should like take the book and I've seen the mom's sticky note over the
oh my
places that they
gosh.
can't read. And so
Oh,
then
that would be too
their
funny.
child gets to read the book, but they just have to skip certain places.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, there's not just like it's not overwhelming with the mature content. Like there's scenes, but I don't think it's like just overwhelming. So, but I
Right.
mean, still enough where I'm not like I cannot advocate that you read that yet. So,
Okay, just not now.
one day. Now, I will
Yeah,
say
one
this,
day.
my mom is like dying to read it and she read my last book, the one that I was telling you all that went out on submission. and it was a sports romance as well, and it was open door and had quite a few. It might actually have had more spicy scenes in it than this one does. And I remember my mom read an early copy, and she called me, and she was like, I have to tell you that I was very interested in this. And I was like, okay, you didn't have to tell me that, but thank you.
And you're like,
So
I have to go now.
yeah, I'm like, well, if you enjoyed that one, you'll probably enjoy this one. So
speaking from a third-party objective with no personal interest in the matter, I didn't need to know that. Okay, thanks, Mom.
excellent.
Great callback. Great callback. You mentioned that you do have some other projects in the works. Is there anything you can tell us a little bit more?
I can. I can give you some sparse details because they were announced in my deal announcement with my publisher. So the next book, which is going to be coming out of February next year, so not too terribly far away, is another sports romance, another soccer romance, but this is going to be a sapphic soccer romance, and the main character is Nicole, Marcy's assistant coach.
I was
And
hoping
so
Nicole would get a book.
she
Okay.
does. And I have to tell you, this one surprised me. Like I knew I wanted to write it, and I kind of had just the most general idea. So these were picked up, like they were part of the deal. I hadn't written them already, so they were just taken in on proposal only, essentially. So I just had the barest idea of what it was going to be about. And then I developed it, after working on The Greatest Game. But Nicole's story has been really special. I've gotten to delve into some heavy hitting topics. I'm going to continue with that mode of operation with this one as well. And it's going to be based in New York City. She does move, but it is a dual point of view novel. And let me just say that I absolutely adored getting into Nicole's headspace. She's so cute and just a spitfire, and her love interest may be one of my favorite characters that I've ever written. So yeah, I'm super excited for readers to get to meet both of them in this kind of capacity. But yes, so that's coming out in February of next year. And then my third book will be coming out in October of next year. So, I mean, we're really getting it pretty close together. And this is going to be a rugby romance. And it will be, the main character is another character from The Greatest Game. Had a very small part, so I'm not sure if you would necessarily really remember, but it was Matt, who owns the brewery that Alex works at, and is actually, Alex's ex-fiance. So it's going to be his love story. And the poor guy's been through the ringer, so he deserves his own love story.
I love that. Okay.
Sarah, if you need more arcs, let us know.
Yeah.
Absolutely. 100%.
Because I can't wait for both of those. And holy cow, you have a very busy couple of years in the best way.
When they proposed all of this to me with my book deal, my agent was like, this is a really quick turnaround. Are you sure you're okay with this? She's like, this is not normally how fast it goes. And I was like, absolutely. Yes, let me do it. So, but yeah, it's a lot of deadlines. But I kind of love it that way. I don't know if I would, there's enough waiting in publishing, by God. I mean, you have to wait on everything. So I'm like, if I could control this part at least, let me do it.
Well, we will be following along as The Greatest Game releases this month, and for more info on the upcoming ones as well. For listeners and readers interested, where is the best place for them to connect with you online?
Absolutely. So you can find me on pretty much any social media. I am on Instagram. I am on TikTok loosely. I'm just kind of terrible at it. But I'm there. I am on Threads. I do have an author site on Facebook as well. And then I do have my website, which is www.tarasexton.com, which does an update of all of my books. And I've got my events listed on there as well. So if you ever want to catch up with me somewhere, then it'll be listed there.
Perfect. And we will link to that in the podcast notes as well so everyone can find you easily. Tara, so wonderful talking with you today. Thank you so much for sharing your passion, your perseverance, your process, and your authenticity with us. I was looking forward to this conversation so much, and this was an amazing time. Everyone, please don't miss the heat and heart of the greatest game this May.
Yes. Thank you so much, ladies.
Thank
Of
you.
course, come back next time too.
Yep.
Yes,
Until
absolutely.
next
Thanks so much for listening. The Narratives and Nightcaps podcast is a production of The Craft Co. with intro music created by Remington Haynes.
Subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Follow at Narratives and Nightcaps on Instagram or visit our website, narrativesandnightcaps.com.
Sign up for our newsletter to always know what we're reading next, which authors are joining us on the show, and for extra bookish and beverage info.
Connect with our additional co-hosts, Jordan and Emily, as well.
You can find me on Instagram at Cozy Reads and Sips.
And you can find me on Instagram at books.bottles.
Cheers!
Cheers.